We play and call it work.
Hey there folks, Luka from MiniWarGaming here to showcase a commission we just got back from Scott and Shan over at Battle Ready Painting in the UK. They are a company that offers painting commissions with multiple levels of options, of course. You know, you got your tabletop, tabletop plus, that kind of thing. And they also offer magnetization and converting of models if you're interested. Now, I'm going to give you a closer look up at these models in just a moment, but I want to go over a promotional offer that they're offering right now. And it's going to be 10% off of a commission or your next commission if you recommend a friend to them, and then that friend orders a commission. So it's sort of like a recruiter friend sort of thing. Your friend goes to get a commission from them that you referred, and you get 10% off your next commission. As well as they offer a 10% off commission code for the next, or the first 10 people who essentially send an email to them at battlereadypainting@hotmail.com, or a message to their Facebook at, facebook.com/battlereadypainting for a quote, and you have to mention a code. And I'm going to put all of this in the description below so you guys can easily reference that, and that code's going to be WMGBRP. But again, check the description below if you want that code. And again, that's 10% off for the first 10 people who essentially contact them on Facebook or through email. Now, let's go take a closer look at the models to show you what they're capable of. Let's start by talking about this Lord of Plagues model that they've done up for us. One of the 4 characters, well, it's actually one of the 5 characters they did for us, sorry. Right away, you can notice the highlighting and the rust effect on the weapon. It really brings it out on the camera, as well as the highlighting around all of the green on the armor and the rust effects on the metal on the armor. The horns have good shading, good highlighting, and they really bring out the growth under the bloated skin and the sores that surround those, the bone and pretty much the pustules and the oozing effect from underneath the skin. And you can tell that the weapon is kind of pushing in on the stomach there, the intestinal area. It's quite irritated looking, so they did an amazing job. And of course, this is all based as well, and you can see the drip effect on the base of the model from the intestines that the weapon is pushing into. So it's quite grotesque and quite and quite the good job. Next up, we have the Lord of Blights of the 5 characters. This is essentially the showcase model that's on the cover of the book, so right away you can tell he looks almost identical to it. They did an amazing job. You can tell a lot of the same highlighting on the armor and the oxidization on the shield underneath the brass, which really comes out on camera. And you can see the maggots kind of coming out of his bloated skin. And again, they based it themselves. They did all that work for you at the shop. And I feel that the skull, well, the head, the decapitated head and the skull in the back of the wood there, his little pseudo banner came out pretty nicely as well. The maggots, again, are quite noticeable, and they kind of scream at you. One of the first things I notice is that in the shield. Next up, we have Gut Rot Spume, which is one of the characters in the book. Again, 3rd of the 5 heroes that they did for us. Right away, you notice the tentacles exploding out the side of his body. A lot of attention to detail there. You can notice the highlighting, the multiple colors. It's just a very colorful job all around, and it doesn't take over the model. It's just a very noticeable feature. And again, notice the attention to detail on the weapon itself with the oxidized rust effect, as well as the part of metal coming out of the shoulder plate. Next model up is the Harbinger of Decay. Right away, what I noticed myself is I love the weapon effects, the rusted, oxidized effect that is relevant across the entire army, so I like to see all of that on all the weapons. You have the brass effect on the insignia on the shoulder. The horse, on this side, you can tell that the horse has a lot of sores and is very irritated around the sores, and there's growth coming out of the horse's flesh. The raven, painted very dark, but brought up again with the highlights. And if you notice the sign, might be hard to notice, I'll show you the other side of the model in a minute, but they wrote MiniWarGaming on the sign pointing in the direction of the Harbinger, so that was a nice little touch that I really appreciate. Here is the other side of the model, just so you get a better look of the growth and pretty much the rot and the sores on the horse itself. Really, like every part of this model is noticeable. The rider, the horse, the weapon, the raven, the sign. They did a good job. For this next model, I'm going to take the camera off the tripod just to give you guys a better look of all around it, just because the rot fly he's riding around on has a lot of details underneath him as well. So right away, this is the Lord of Afflictions, which is the new model that Games Workshop just came out. Essentially the leader of the Blight Lords that ride around on these same, mounts. Right away, take a look at the top. You have the Nurgling. It's colored in a purple color with highlights. It's nice to change up a lot of the details because it helps them stand out, right? You can't have all the Nurglings be the same color. There's kind of lose interest. You have a maggot on top with some intestines wrapping around the pole, the sign of, there we go, the 3 circles of Nurgle on the banner. The Blight Lord himself, all his armor is highlighted multiple times with shading in there nicely. His armor itself speaks to you. His faceplate very well done. And right over here, as you can see, is carrying a human corpse that has got a tentacle going inside of its mouth. Now, it's a little grotesque and nasty, I know, but they did such a good job on bringing out this corpse. It's, again, very noticeable. And on the weapon, you'll see the rust effect and the oxidization. Underneath, it is carrying a bell around with it. The bell is a very nice color, nicely highlighted, not too loud, just enough. And of course, the rot fly, it's hard to tell. I'll move the model on its side. It's painted in a very dark fashion, that much like a bug, but with the proper highlighting, it brings it out to a very nice fashion to make it not so dark. And let's take notice of the wings. So I got an email from one of the painters asking if they could do wings more like that of a bug itself, and as you can tell, they're very shiny, just like you would see on that of a fly. So again, a very good job. And like each model has a new detail added to it, right? So each model itself stands out in the army, but still has that same unison that you crave in, well, one of your own personal armies. Very good job done on this model. Here we have the 10 Blight Kings. One thing for Blight Kings is that each model in itself has the detail quality of what you'd expect a hero to have. So right away you notice their stomachs are bursting open. Inside of this one they painted an ooze, so you can tell all of its intestines are missing with a lot of irritation around the wound, and there's nothing but a goop inside of it now. Over here this model has his arm replaced or essentially fallen off, and insect limbs have been growing out again with that dark paint, or that dark base layer with the perfect highlighting over top just to bring it out. We have this model here with a lot of metal, a lot of oxidization, being the banner carrier. This one is the musician. Pretty much no armor at all, just a lot of flesh on this guy. A lot of bloated flesh. And then the rest of the unit itself, very similar. Then again mentioning the different colors of the Nurgling. So if you look at this one, he has a Nurgling popping out of his stomach that's yellow. And over to this one, this Nurgling is a darker blue. So again, keeping the army in unison, but making each model unique and different. And of course, on to the Puscoil Blight Lords. Very large, very impressive models, again, with the detail quality of a character themselves. Each one has a lot of the same, but just enough to be different to stand out. One thing I'll point at is the mushrooms growing on the shoulders. These ones here are dark with a blue highlight. And then if we were to move over here, we'll have the classic red cap mushroom with white dots on it. Over here, we have, oh, focus. Oh, it doesn't want to focus. Again, another dark mushroom, but with blue highlighting. All the hoods have been done well and make them look very dirty, worn out, rotten even. And the horns and the metals, all in unison. And again, with the rusty weapons and the flies, all done, or the rot flies, all done with the very shiny wings, as well as the dark the dark base coat with the blue highlights to bring it out. I figured I'd give you guys one more shot of this army on the table, what it looks like. They match pretty well to this table, specifically just because of, well, they're on a swampy terrain and they're Nurgle, right? It works. That, again, is by Battle Ready Painting over in the UK. Make sure you guys check out the description below for more information on promotional codes and how you can get yourself 10% off if you want to head over there and get yourself a commission done by them. And with that, I'll say goodbye and wish you all happy wargaming.